Okay. Okay, welcome everybody to Servant Soldier, the first episode. And I'm Nick Costello, and I'm the president of HEAL, Home to Enhance African Life. And I'm here with my good friend John Gregg, who is the founder and president of African Health and Agriculture Foundation, USA. And before we get started with this presentation, I'd just like to invite everybody now to like this video, share it far and wide, and you can subscribe to our Servant Soldier YouTube channel. And you can hit that bell to receive notifications for our future videos. I'm going to try to do these once a week, so that's the goal. As I mentioned, I'm the president of Home to Enhance African Life, and our website, we're a charitable mission organization, not-for-profit charity. Our website is here, healnigeria.org. So if you'd like to learn more about HEAL, our organization, you can check out our website. But this episode of Servant Soldier is not about me. It's about John Gregg, my guest, and about his work. So that's what we're going to be focusing on. But I have to mention my bona fides as a servant myself, or an aspiring one anyway. And I myself have been to Nigeria 5 times now. My background prior to that was in sales and marketing for many years. But I'm a former seminarian as well. Back in the 90s, I thought that was God's calling for me at that point in my life. But I discerned a different path. But during that time I was in seminary, I met my good friend now. His name's Deacon Leo Okonkwo. So he's a Nigerian. And that's when I learned about his mission of going into rural villages near where he's from in Nigeria, and providing clean water and education for rural villagers, children primarily, and widows. So here's a photo quickly of myself with Deacon Leo. This is from one of my trips to Nigeria. And this is at the one primary and secondary school that we operate. So Deacon Leo, as you can see, is on the right there. I'm in my orange. That's not a prison jumpsuit. That is a authentic Nigerian outfit, or African outfit. So I just want to share that with you to let you know that and then John as well, we don't just talk about... we're not bragging, but we don't just talk about mission work and service. We've actually been there, and we do it by the grace of God, of course, because it's not something that anyone can do on their own strength. And I've been at this for 6 years now, and I credit Deacon Leo for bringing me into this work. But it hasn't been easy. But that's, a good segue into my guest, John Gregg. If you read the description of this video, John is, a servant leader, a servant soldier, as I call him, and he's the former director of vice president of global R&D at Kraft Foods. He's an engineer. A man of science, and but he got called into this work. He got called into this mission in Nigeria, and so John, maybe you can just give us just a brief introduction of yourself and how you got called into this work that you're doing in Nigeria, and then after that we'll we'll start going into the foundation and some of the different initiatives specifically that you're working on.
Okay. I've been doing this and traveling to Nigeria for almost 15 years. And right around that time is when I retired. And I've been to Nigeria. I've been on the ground there about 365 days over all those years, if you added up all the time I've actually spent on the ground. And I actually got called into this through, you could say God was calling, but it was actually an archbishop who was calling. And I used to do a project in the Vatican, and that project took me to Rome on a regular basis, and I ran into the archbishop there, and he put the squeeze on me. And his favorite, the line I remember to this day, he says, "John, whatever you're doing, why don't you just stop doing that and instead start working for me? See, because people's stomachs growl so loudly they can't hear the gospel where I come from." And I thought, well, I got to get out of here. This guy's serious. He is a serious player. And 9 months later, before you know it, he calls my house. My wife comes running with the phone. It's Archbishop Obina on the line. I said, oh, shake him off, tell him I died. She said, I'm not going to tell him that, Archbishop of the church. And right after that point, he commandeered me in to help him raise some funds, which I didn't want to do. But I did it. And that's what led me into this. And you're going to see some of those things and some of the things we're going to show.
Okay, that's great. Yes, thank you, John, for that intro. And so we mentioned John's foundation, Africa Health and Agriculture Foundation, USA. And I just want to share with everybody this. This is the front page of John's website, but it's edited a little bit. But you can see the actual web address, so please bookmark this. Everybody watching, it's www.ahaf-usa.org. So that's John's website. And this tells us, John, what your mission is. Could you just to briefly elaborate on that?
Yeah, our primary mission is to increase the life expectancy in the region. And the magic of doing that is you afford people the 10 or 20 years on the end of their life when actually they add incredible value to their society. It's when they have all the experience that they can bring to bear. They usually have whatever they've collected, they can bring that to bear. And today in sub-Saharan Africa, the 20 or 30 years on the end of their life is ripped off. They don't have it. They die before they get to it. And so we wanted to fix that. And it turns out it doesn't take a whole lot of money to get somebody statistically to live longer. So that's where this came from.
Right. And then that graph that you have there shows on the left, the countries that the life expectancy, like those are the low GDP, the low GNP countries are down at the bottom left of that graph. You can see, if the GNP is low, then the life expectancy is very low, right?
That's correct. And most of the sub-Saharan African countries, they're all the blue dots on the lower left. There are like 180 dots actually on that chart. In the U.S. and all the Western cultures, countries and whatnot, they're all up in the upper right of the curve.
Okay, great. Yeah, so, well, thanks for that rundown of your foundation and the general purpose. So we'll get into some specifics now, John, for our viewers. And this first clip that we're going to show people is about a project that you helped bring about for a girls' school in Nigeria. Can you talk a little bit about that, and then we'll show it?
Right. Girls are, and women in general in the sub-Saharan they're struggling. They're still trying to find their way. in that environment. They're kept back in many ways. And so when an opportunity came up to actually raise funds to help build a girls' college prep school, I got motivated around that. And I went out and became a fundraiser for a brief moment and collected enough money to build a couple stories on top of a building that you're going to see here. It's a one-story building in this slide, but it turns into 3 stories when we're finished. And at the end of it, all the girls in that school graduate and go to college. Like 98% go to college. That's a really exciting prospect. And in fact, it's got so much wind since we did this one. This was like 15 years ago. Since we did this one, another one has been built because it's got so much attention. And now everybody wants their daughters to go to these schools.
Wow.
So it's exciting.
Yeah.
It can make a difference.
Absolutely. So we'll show a video here, with some information that we'll share with you now.
This is a speech I made at the Technical University of Munich. Some kids we brought in from Africa to work with kids at the Technical University of Munich on a mobility project, which I'll talk about quite a bit later. But it was really exciting. The kids, everybody loves kids. This was an automobile show that we ended up taking our A-car, as we call it, vehicle in. This was like the life cycle. I mean, we developed the car from nothing, from a concept to a vehicle to a company in 5-6 years.
Right.
There's some more pictures of A-car here that you can see.
I should say I made a little mistake, John. This is about the car.
That's right. Well, let's keep going on this.
Yeah.
And this is like the vehicle today. This is Even Motors, is the name of the company. They've already got $30 million of money already backing them up on this thing. Very exciting. And this was a trip where I brought some Igbo leaders and investors into the community. Some of the things on the vehicle that I think are pretty interesting, pretty important, is that we did it with students. I think one of the things that servant leaders will do is look for the people who can make it happen. And you know what? My opinion, and it's not even an opinion, it's just a practice, it works, is let the youth do it.
Yeah.
Get youth involved in the programs. The youth can make a difference. Everybody wants the youth to do well. We were at one of the shows, like the show where the kids were presenting. That was actually a giant auto industry show. And there were 300 people in the audience. And most of those people hate each other. They're all competitors of one another. And big people, CEO kind of levels, were sitting in that room. And it's usually quiet and boring, and everybody hopes they're going to make mistakes. But when the kids got up there, the students got up there who were working on A-car, all of a sudden there was an excitement in the room. The youth are talking, let's listen. And before you know it, people are clapping and cheering, and it was just fabulous. Everybody wants the youth to do well.
That's
and
right.
It's really important in Africa to get the youth engaged, because you know where a lot of the good youth go today? They come to the United States, or they go to Europe, or they go to some other developed country where the opportunity is easier. We don't want them to do that. We want them to stay home and make it happen there with their own hands. And these projects are things that allow the youth to make things happen with their own hands. Very exciting. I think the other thing that's important on this is that you can't have any fear. Where Christ says, do not be afraid. He's not kidding. Do not be afraid. Just don't be afraid. And
That's right.
Some of the things, I tell you, one thing, Nick and I have talked about this several times on occasion. It's like people who are servant leaders, they use the force, as I would say. And when you're running in the dark, and you can use the force, and I know there's a wall, it's getting closer. I'm about to get to it. Instead of slowing down, run faster.
Yeah.
Because when you run faster, God is opening the door where there's a hole or a crack in the wall that you get right through. You run right through it. I never run into a wall, but I always run around in the dark.
That's right. That's right.
It's the nature of the spiritual world. And you get tied in, And it's a skill that you start slow, but eventually you do it enough. You have an ear for what God wants you to do, and you just keep running. And when you see
That's
an
right.
open field, on rare moment, run.
That's
Run
right.
fast in an open field, because those are rare.
That's right. Okay, so now I have the right clip, John. Okay, for the school.
Okay.
So,
Great. That's fine.
yeah. So we'll play that one now, and we showed people the car, the A car. So now we'll show
It's
them.
an exciting thing.
Yeah. So now we'll show them the school, and okay, here we go.
Maybe one. Okay. Here we go.
Yeah.
And it's just our logo with the foundation. This is a young gal on the right who her family, my wife and I adopted, and we're sending her to a girls' school, and adopted the family, helped build their house. But our connection with the traditional leadership, these next couple slides, are extremely important. Sit around with them. These are the most important traditional leaders in Igbo land. And so we've got a lot of connections. This was a great slide. I'll take another minute or two later on to describe this, but these women wanted that photo with me. This is the school in the building right in the center without a blue roof on. That's the one that we were. This is the Archbishop. It's worth listening to this clip.
Yes.
Agriculture, medicine. And I'm delighted that we have friends in Nigeria and from the US and beyond who are trying to help us in setting up a firm agri institution that will be practical to be able to produce and help increase the volume of food production in our land. So we're looking forward to our friends and well-wishers putting heads together, bringing their own resources, reaching out here and there to see who can help us. This land is better, I assure you. And I believe that once things are put in place, we should be running.
Yeah, this is the guy who
And of
put the
course,
clamps
the
on
issue of
in
medicine
the early moments.
It's a dicey area, especially as we have so many of our trained medical doctors outside of this country. So we're looking forward to a better coordination of medical work in this land. And thanks be to God, we have this team also, American, Nigerian based. We want to establish here in Igbo State. So I'm looking forward to the state-of-the-art medical facility that will be able to respond both to the grassroots needs and other levels of need in Medicare, so that we don't have to travel out of this country to get the Medicare. It shouldn't be only those who are very rich or rich, but we need to get Medicare down to the grassroots.
So I just listening to Archbishop Obina there. He's talking about agriculture. He's talking about education and medical care. And what hit me, is when he said you shouldn't have to be rich or super rich to be able to get good medical care. And that was one of the reasons. Well, he's talking about the need for this for the hospital. But then, he was talking a lot about agriculture and education also.
That's it. I think the Archbishop, he's really got his finger on the pulse. And talking about servant leadership, he starts out talking about he's the chief servant of the people.
That's right.
And you know what? I'll tell you what. When people do what they say, and they do that again and again, you know what happens? Everybody starts following you because they believe you. They know you're real. And that's from above. I mean, leaders start following it. My connections with the traditional leadership, they came from knowing that when I walk in the room and I say I'm going to do it, they know that I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And then the people from around, they know you're going to do it. You become a great leader when you do what you say.
That's right.
It's very simple. Just do what you say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely right. The big leap for me was my first trip to Nigeria. Just going, mustering up the courage to go to a place I never thought that I would go. Just making that first step, had a huge impact on me. So, next we've got the med car, John. This is really an amazing vehicle. That you've helped design here. It's kind of self-explanatory, med car, so people have an idea. We just heard Archbishop Obina talking about, the necessity of medical care, and how the poor and the marginalized don't always have access to that. And I can tell many stories about that from my missionary travels. We actually had a religious sister named Sister Callista Utazi, who died at age 39 because she had a heart condition, and we sent her. Deacon Leo sent her to a local medical center, but at that time, all the medical professionals in Nigeria were on strike. So, she couldn't get the care she needed right then and there, and she died at age 39. It was really tragic, and, we hope to build a medical center in her honor. That was 4 years ago in 2016 when Sister Callista died, but, that's a dream Deacon Leo and I have, is to, build a medical center in her honor that, will provide that care for those poor and marginalized rural villagers who otherwise might go without it. So having said that, you can tee us up, on the med car, and then we'll show a short video on that.
Yeah, one of the things that, just to build on what Nick was saying, the penetration of medical outlets, buildings that offer medical care, it's like nominally zero. It's not exactly zero, but it's might as well be close to zero. If we add up the number of, just to give you a comparison, in the United States we have 421,000 medical outlets. 421,000. If Nigeria were to actually repeat what the U.S. did and ratio it on population, they'd need $1.4 trillion to do that. It's just not going to happen. The whole GDP is only $500 billion. So they're way, way short of ever having that kind of money to do that. So what we said is, hey, why don't we make it a mobile clinic? Let's just make the whole network mobile. And so the objective is then to have these Medicars, which then travel to all the villages. Each Medicar would have a little specialty with it. And then once in a while, the specialties would all come together in the same spot. And then you would have a hospital with all the different departments. And in doing this, you could provide affordable care. You would provide jobs. You would have people delivering the service to the people in the communities who know them. They'd be nurses who are running or living in their communities, who'd be running the Medicars around. And I think what we're doing, we're going to show you some clips now of some of the Medicar activity that's gone on. Now I'll just comment a bit here and there. This was a car that we had at one of the German auto shows. Very popular. These are some of the services that we provide with our Medicar. You can see there's eyewear in the upper left corner. We linked ourselves to Holy Rosary Hospital, which has a good branding in the area. This is a nursing school that I do a lot of work at. And in fact, we pulled the nurses that we use for our Medicars from this school. This is just some supplies that we go after. And this is like a little eyewear thing. It's a diagnostic thing, very simple. And you can provide eyewear like we did for these children for just a few dollars. And before they were blind, and now they can see. That is an incredible. The first time I saw this picture, I started to cry. Mm-hmm. This is one of the field directors that we've got, was a nurse at that school. And you know what? We're finding that a lot of people who have some skills in the area are volunteering and helping us out. This is a clip from a gal's testimonial.
John Gregg, for his contribution in helping the masses. John Gregg, I said
Imagine
thank
that
you.
at her
God
age,
bless you.
she had never been able to see properly.
Mm-hmm.
Na-ekelekwa ndị na-anọchite anya ya
People are so thankful.
n'obodo ahụ Imo steeti na Nnachi ha thank you.
This is a network. This is kind of like the ultimate vision, where we would have cars networked all together throughout the entire region.
Okay.
And would come together and could even be together across large tracts, even across countries eventually.
Yeah.
Was kind of the goal. And you know, it's like how rewarding it is to bring health to somebody who didn't have health before. It's such a powerful thing. It's why Christ healed people in the gospel. He didn't give them money.
That's right.
He never gave people money. He healed them. Why? Because it's super powerful. Super powerful. People notice it. They notice the difference. And as the servant leader, servant soldier, I'm telling you, it's massively motivating.
Yes.
And you know, it's motivating for me, and then I'm motivating them too. I mean, all of them didn't want to help. They want to get involved. It isn't like they want to walk away. These people are incredibly thankful for what
Yes.
they get.
Yes, it's amazing. And so what do we have next in line, John, that we're going to show people?
Okay, we're going to talk, we're going to move away from Medicar and mobility and some of those things, and we're going to talk about agriculture and some of the things that we've done with that side of the agenda. 75% of the people are farmers.
Yep.
Akubi is our farming co-op. We created a co-op that would bring power and unity to the farmers. And some of the clips you're going to see have to do with Akubi, as well as some of the projects that we've been working on. Okay,
that's great. And yeah, in my work with HEAL, agriculture plays a huge role. And the thumbnail of this video was of me planting cassava. So I was just sticking, a cassava branch into the ground, which is how you plant cassava. So I got a crash course in that the last time I visited Nigeria. So we're all farming. All the children and the sisters, they're farming every day. So so bringing about and improving that agricultural sector, in Nigeria is so important. So we'll show people some of your work in that area, John, right now.
Okay. Scale is a big deal, and scale leads to attention. When you get attention, then export opportunities start to pop up. Today in Nigeria, so little of the food actually gets processed. There's like 100 million tons of food that doesn't get processed. And so if they don't eat it straight away, it goes wrong, it goes to the ground. And the thing is, if they actually had their fair share of capital for food processing, they'd spend there's a $23 billion opportunity, actually, just on the capital alone to build a food industry. This is a talk that I gave in a community down in the south part of Igbo land. I'm holding a sprig of Moringa, which I'll talk about in a minute.
It's a huge number. And that's just Igbo land. That's just this LGA. If you look at all of Igbo land, then you look at all of Nigeria, and then you start looking at all of Africa. Sub-Saharan Africa has 900 million people. So that's 900 million kilos a day. If we start putting regenerative crops in the center of the plate for 900 million people, that is a huge, huge amount of food.
Moringa trees grow like weeds. It grows 45 feet, 50 feet a year in this part of the world. And a tree that grows that fast, that has leaves that look like a glass of milk, it's good food. It's good wood for fuel. The fuel goes into a biomass reactor, creates energy, and you get all kinds of other ancillary products that can go to fast-moving consumer products industry. Yeah. Scores of people can be employed. I wanted to mention, Nick, on two things here. One, this is a call to all food industry people. and I know there's some food industry people on the line. The thing is, there is a huge opportunity for food processing in Nigeria and in Igbo land especially. When you look at it, if you looked at, since hardly any food is processed, almost nominally zero. The thing is, if we actually started processing food in the region, we'd create 12 million jobs. You would create an industrial revolution that would spill over to other things, which would create more jobs, so people could afford to pay the money for the food. The labor prices there are incredibly low now. And so it's very easy to actually build a food company and put good employees who have some education to work in a way where they'd be producing food for their families. I'll tell you, food and mobility are what drive an industrial revolution in a country. And our ACAR is driving mobility, and all of the Akubi and the other projects that we've got going with Moringa, this fast-growing tree which has leaves, the amino acid distribution of Moringa leaves, it looks like a glass of milk. And that's one thing that you usually have to eat animal stuff to get animal kind of protein splits.
Yeah.
But Moringa looks like a glass of milk. It's really exciting. And it grows so fast. You know, you could harvest 6 times a year. It fruits seeds that actually produce oil that look like olive oil. So that the thing is just a dynamite plant. And you know what? I'm telling you, this part of the world where there's tropical forests, God put those tropical forests there for a real specific reason. And it takes things that grow incredibly aggressively fast and big to make a tropical forest. And you know what? We just have to take advantage of those. There's a whole group of crops there they call them the orphan crops. They're orphaned because the rest of us in the Western world have tossed them to the side. We don't even know they exist. But the people locally do. And they eat those products off of those trees, and they make it work. There's so much opportunity.
Yeah.
One last thing I wanted to mention about Moringa, I know we're running on, is it's a regenerative crop. I mean, a tree that grows that fast is sucking carbon dioxide out of the air like a vacuum cleaner. It cleans up the air. And if you grew a forest of Moringa trees the size of like Illinois, you would stop. It would actually stop all the elevation of carbon dioxide that we're measuring in the air without doing anything else. Just don't fix anything else. It's incredible.
It's probably producing oxygen too, right?
Big time.
Right.
That's what it does. CO2 in, O2 out.
Right. That's what we want. Okay, so yeah, that's amazing info. And just FYI, I first met John, Deacon Leo and I first met John maybe 3 years ago, and he explained to us, it was up in North Shore, and he explained to us this Moringa project he was working on. So we've had this interest in the Moringa tree since then. So it's exciting that this is something that can really work and that can really provide a lot of nutrition for the poor and marginalized in Nigeria. So now we'll go into we've talked about food now, and as I think some people know, the world, well, everybody knows now, the world is in a crisis because of the SARS-CoV-2 virus or COVID-19 virus, and the lockdown measures in many parts of the world that have caused disruptions in the economy in one way or another, but people viewing now may or may not know how devastating the impact of these lockdowns. Yes, they're to prevent the spread of disease, of course, but they're having a tremendously negative impact on the economy, the local economies, and in particular, it's causing food shortages. So Deacon Leo and I did a video on this last week, and so John, we're going to view something now about efforts, to provide food palliative. So could you just touch touch on that and we'll show it?
Sure. That one of the it's a science bit, and we've been looking very closely out for the people in the sub-Saharan and in Igbo land in specific, and trying to get the best care for, knowing that they don't have the money for medical care. There isn't much medical care around. What can they do? And the whole idea that we've really landed on as the data start to take shape now is that a combination of if you eat the right kind of foodstuffs, you can get solid levels of zinc and solid levels of vitamin D. As it turns out, the way the data are looking, the people who are dying from COVID-19 anywhere are short of vitamin D and light on zinc as well. Zinc is a well-known antiviral anyways, that's clinically proven. But what we're starting to discover now as a world together is that vitamin D does some really important regulating of the biochemistry so that you don't end up with this massive immune response, which is actually that thing that happens in the lungs of people who have really advanced cases. Vitamin D regulates that down. It regulates the immune system so you don't have this massive overdrive. The reason why black people in America, we think, are actually more susceptible to this issue is that their skin does not produce vitamin D as readily and as easily as white people. The black skin, the black layers are on the outside, and it prevents the sunlight from getting to the subdermal levels of skin, which is where the biochemistry of vitamin D production takes place in the human body. And so the darker your skin, the more issue you're going to have with vitamin D levels. And so what we're doing is getting people to eat the right things that have vitamin D in them already, so they can get it through their diet. The good news is there's plenty of those things around in Igbo land, and we're just getting people's attention on that. And then we're trying to also get some funding through some fundraisers we're doing to buy dietary supplements of zinc and vitamin D. And then you'll see some other photos we've got too of some other people we've done work with and a hospital that we're trying to build.
So we'll play this here.
So zinc citrate is just a dietary supplement. Sardine oil, cod liver oil, there's a lot of jokes about cod liver oil, but boy, look at the dose of vitamin D, 338% of the daily requirement. Here, this chart shows you the higher up you are in this chart, the more the probability you're going to have of deficiency. So you can see black skin at the top, Hispanic in the middle, and then white people in the bottom. They don't have much trouble. This is a fellow in Taiwan, pretty famous biochemist who he's connected with us now. There's a strong number of biochemists in Nigeria. So I've spoken, and this is a group there that I've spent time with. I spoke at one of their seminars and talked about the importance of this is a hospital that we're putting up, and it's a very exciting project. It always comes down to the money. We need money. And there's a plot of the community where that hospital is going in. And we're thinking of building an eye care production facility actually on the wing of that hospital. That's one of the exciting projects for that. And once again, we'll just do this on our own, and it'll turn into a giant business and bring eyewear to the 2/3 of the people that need it, actually. 2/3 of the people in Nigeria need eyewear.
Right.
And they don't have.
Yeah, and you mentioned some of the nutrients people need, vitamin D for the immune system, and you spoke to me about black beans being a great source of vitamin D of zinc
beans
rather. Okay.
Zinc.
Yeah, so you can see here the black beans have a good
zinc's over in the bottom right here. It's got almost 50% of the daily value of zinc, just one serving of black beans.
And I mention that because Deacon Leo and I are running a campaign right now for HEAL to provide a emergency food relief, for people during this virus lockdown time, to hopefully get them through to the end of the lockdown measures, so that they can go back out then and provide for themselves. The foodstuffs that we're trying to obtain are rice, beans, and tomatoes. So I don't know if they're, so maybe we'll go for black beans to get that zinc
Darker
content.
all the dark beans usually have some zinc. So.
Yeah, that's right. So, that kind of brings us to the end of what we were sharing with people, John. I think we gave people a lot, but I think they were able to see the different things that you're doing, and again, all to toward your ultimate purpose of raising that life expectancy. Raising that life expectancy, which will, or raising that gross national product, or to raise that life expectancy, and so there are all these different opportunities, that you've already initiated, from the ACAR to the MedCar, to the girls' school, which you did for Archbishop Obina in the Archdiocese of Owerri. And now we're gearing up. I know your foundation, mine, are gearing up to do whatever we can to help create this food relief for people who are, with the nutritional value as well that they need, that they need, for that immunity. Many people in Nigeria, the people we're trying to help, aren't going to have $900 for every dose of the next therapeutic drug that comes out. So we'll get them, obviously, whatever therapeutic drugs they should have them, whatever that they can get, we want them to get, but we have to do everything else on the nutrition side as well. So yeah. So I want to thank everybody, for tuning in and for watching this first episode of Servant Soldier. What we're trying to do is just to hold up service, to hold up servant leadership, to hold up what that means. In Matthew chapter 20, verse 25 to 27. Our Lord says, "You know how the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, but it shall not be that way with you. Rather, he who is great among you will be your servant, and he who is least among you, and he who is great among you, will be your slave." So, and we know, Christ. Maybe not all of you are Christians. That's okay. But you may be. I'm sure you know the story of Jesus, and his. I think probably in the gospel, his foot washing at before the Last Supper, as written in the Gospel of John, is probably the most powerful story of servant leadership that Christ was trying to exemplify for all of us. So that's what this is about. That's what this series will be about going forward. And I'm really grateful, John, that you were able to spend time with me this evening and with everybody who's watching. And we just hope that that the Spirit of God will move people's hearts in whatever way. It's going to be different for everybody, and everybody has different talents, gifts, and interests that they can employ in ways, hopefully, like you, to uplift people. So what do you have any, I should explain, the hats John and I are wearing before we sign off here are chieftain hats that, I maybe received one after my second or third trip. John, I don't know when you received yours, but
I got a bad memory, but it was a long time ago.
Yeah, so that's what these are right here. So mine's a little small; it doesn't quite fit, but I wear it for occasions like this. So, John, do you have any final thoughts?
I would just say that tried to highlight some of the key servant leader characteristics that we discovered. Didn't discover them. We realized that they're absolutely true. They're like laws of nature. Do what you say. Don't be afraid. Run hard, and with no fear and running hard, the results will be incredible. There's scores of opportunity out there. The need state is super high. People will appreciate you, though. I tell you, I feel incredibly appreciated when I'm there. Even when I do a bad job, I am greatly appreciated. I feel so loved by these people. It really puts a real shine on the word love. The meaning of love is absolutely clear. And so we're on a roll. Things are changing for the better. There will be an industrial revolution in the sub-Saharan. They will get mobility, and we're going to bring the food industry to them too.
Right.
And so that's what I'm saying.
Amen. And they're going to do it. All of the ability, all of the natural resources, and all of the natural ability is right there among the people. So they're going to do it, and we just hope that the leadership will improve. And that's really the only obstacle that's there right now. So we want to thank everybody again. Before we close, please, again, if you like this video, please share it with your friends, subscribe to the Servant Soldier channel, and click that bell to get notifications. Again, I'm going to try to do these once a week. Thank you. God bless you all.